When we're talking about immigration and we relate the American dream to the idea that you can do whatever you want and you can become whatever you want if you work hard and if you persist and if you're serious about your work, well, that's the ideal American dream. But if you're coming here and you do not have papers, if you are undocumented, or if you even if you have papers, you have. We're going to see today in my 15 minutes that the relationship we have with the idea of immigration has evolved and has changed over the years. And sometimes we allowed external judgmental aspects of our lives to determine how we relate to immigrants. The first thing is, if the debate is complex, why are we always using so many simple arguments and terms? They come to the U.S. to do what Americans don't want to do. When I hear that, I said, so the American dream for them is to pick up avocados in California and clean bathrooms. They're both honorable jobs, but we have to understand that they're lower skilled and the salaries are not that good. But when you categorize them as trying to portray immigrants, either documented or undocumented, as those who are coming here to do what Americans do not want to do, then they're not the same. They're not Americans. They're not Americans to be. Their dreams are not to be Americans. They have already a category, and they're put in there, and it doesn't matter if they're documented or undocumented. That's a very simple term I hear all the time. We're not talking about immigration here. For us to get started, it's very hard to label people who are coming here. They're very complex. They're not victims. They're not villains. They're not heroes. They're just people, and they have different backgrounds. And we have undocumented aliens, and not few, who are very well educated, and we have people who arrived here and were lucky enough to get the papers, even if they didn't have any education. But I'm just using education because the real debate here is not about documented or undocumented. We can see that that's what people usually refer to when they're talking about immigrants. But people here, and if you're the boss, if you are the manager, if you are the president of the company, you're still a person just like them, just like any other, and you have other judging standards. The problem is, even if it ethically or morally they may not be correct or be fair, the fact is that they exist and we have to face them. We have several other judging standards when we're talking about people coming into the United States. We're talking about education, about national origin, about religion, about race, ethnicity, language, and people do not talk openly about it. They prefer to keep the real debate in the undocumented and documented thing because it's not politically correct to address those issues sometimes. Well, if we're leaders in the community and we are here to try to press press Congress or all the legislators that we know to change the policies, then we're talking about the real debate. My example there with one category, but if the person entered legally and got permanent immigrant status legally, it doesn't matter if the person has education or not. It's, in my opinion, it's green, 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 green. The big problem is not my opinion. The big problem is that we have to see all these completely subjective standards that we try to organize them in charts to make us feel better. But we have to understand that these people are already here, and we have several different situations we have to face. When I was asked to address the difficulties that they face, that documented or undocumented, but in this case I'm going to talk about undocumented immigrants because we were supposed to be having the real debate, not judgmental standards. We have to see some problems that they face. They have fake IDs, fake social security numbers, and let's start with that. People think that how can they get fake IDs or fake social security numbers. How can somebody who arrived here yesterday, there is an industry for that. You can go to New York, you can go to some bigger major cities and get your fake ID and your fake social security number. So we're always talking about how bad they are for doing that, but where are the legal, the enforcement, the legal development for those who are creating those fake IDs and are selling those fake social security numbers to be brought to justice? Apparently, our moral standards end when we're criticizing the undocumented immigrants, but we don't know there is an entire industry in the United States formed by legal US citizens or legal immigrants that are profiting from that. And there is the need in the market. That's the other question we have to go further than just punishing both sides. Well, why is that happening? Why is there this industry creating fake social security numbers, helping illegal immigrants get fake IDs? Because our legislation has failed to address illegal immigrants. Fear and misery versus fear and misery. So we're always talking about, oh, you know, they're coming to escape a very violent environment sometimes. And the refugees, you know, we're talking about refugees. It's a very violent environment. Sometimes poverty. And then you come here and now you are scared of all the authorities because you are illegal. You're scared of your own work environment because you have a fake document and you're going to be discovered someday. And it happens every day. And you came here just to do what Americans don't want to do, so your salary is not that great. So you're escaping fear and misery to live here in fear and misery. Where is the American dream? So I'm going to say, oh, yeah, but it's very easy for you, JOÁO, to say that they're living in the same condition when even in the worst fear and misery here, they should be better than in their own countries. It depends where you're coming from. People do not immigrate just because of fear and misery. A lot of people immigrate because they want something different.